Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here with Philip. Nice to have you here, Philip.
What's up?
And hold on, let's start that again because I think it just started recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, and I'm here with Philip. Nice to have you here, Philip.
What's up?
And today we're going to talk about spirits and Aztec spirit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Mashika to be exact, but yeah, Aztec good enough.
Yeah, there we go. So I was really curious about this being because I haven't really delved into any Native American or Aztec as far as gods, spirits, how those systems work, how the traditions work. So would you like to give us a kind of a synopsis about what the being that we're going to talk about is and what it either function or what it does or just the nature of that being, that spirit?
Absolutely. Well, I first and foremost want to dig through the misconceptions that he's taken throughout history as a ruthless god of war that exacted the sacrifice of countless victims to the sun and whatnot. There's all this viciousness associated with him. But in reality, one of his main symbols, actually, it's part of his name. You have mentioned that you have a hard time with his name. The first part of his name is Huitzil, which refers to a hummingbird. And it's kind of strange to associate such docile bird to such a vicious and angry character. So right then and there, the fact that he's been compared to a hummingbird is already letting you know that it has nothing to do with the association that it's had throughout history.
How do you pronounce the full name again?
Huitzilopochtli.
Gotcha. Yeah. Excellent.
And so basically,
yeah,
simplistically, you can compare him, between the sun, the phenomena of the winter solstice, the reemergence of the sun after 8 hours of darkness or whatnot, and to the willpower of mankind. You cannot tell the sun to chill. You know what I'm saying? And once you have your willpower in full throttle, it also cannot chill. So that's the goal, to imitate the sun.
So do you feel like this being has increased your willpower? And it definitely sounds like a solar being. I'm not really sure if we can identify it as solar or lunar based on other systems because I don't know anything about the system that you're walking right now. But would you say it's a positive figure that increases willpower, or is there another side of it that can be very warlike and savage, or is it just is it black and white, or is it a combination of both?
It definitely is a combination of both because he also does. I mean, you're going to attain willpower however it is that you need to, whatever shape, form it's going to take place, you're going to have to go through with it. Be it negative. I mean, because in reality, what is positive and what is negative, what is positive to some is negative to some and whatnot. But he definitely is a solar creature, spirit. So yeah, you definitely can tie it in. But I mean, even the sun, even the so-called forces of good have their twin, which is referred to in Mexican cosmology. So there's a lot of that.
So would you like to describe some of the practices that you do with this being? Is there a way that you particularly connect to this being or allow this being to come into your life? Are there specific practices to do that?
Everything's very ascetic. Everything is very based on discipline. Rising early in the morning, to wake up with the sun. I find myself, and it's crazy because I have never been a morning person. I hate the morning, but yet that's one of the things that he's changed within me. The fact that I now aspire waking up in the morning before the sun rises. So everything goes along with the sun. Just as the sun is positioning itself, so too am I sort of rendering, homage to him throughout the day. So as far as practices, he really does not have as much ritualistic aspect as the Tezcatlipoca, which is kind of like his counterpart. Because there is the four avatars. I guess that's the whole conversation. So the four avatars that sprang forth after the creation of the universe, after the God Force went out. There's the four avatars, and two tend to be more on the solar positive side, and two are more on the nocturnal side. The Tezcatlipoca is more about rituals. It's more about the left-hand path. Huitzilopochtli is more about getting things done. you pretty much honor him through the setting of goals and accomplishing it, and pretty much embodying him. There's a lot of embodiment. Going to the gym is freaking ritual. Your life, pretty much takes on. There's a saying that says, "Life itself is as true as ritual." So that's pretty much what I can say.
So I guess what path did you come from, and how did you get here? We can talk about that briefly.
Well, the very first experiences that I had were very left-hand path. In reality, I didn't have any particular pantheon, but I just had it in me that I wanted to become a part of practicing since a very young age. But I was just really scared of throwing myself in there because of Christianity, because I was brought up in the Christian worldview. So anything was either God or the devil, and I didn't really want to explore that side of myself, which was devilish, so to speak.
Do you feel like the same duality exists within the path that you're saying right now? I mean, the path that you follow now, do you think it's the same duality, or are there like in-betweens? Is there a different understanding of it? How would you describe exactly how the cosmology works in your path right now?
Well, it's funny because, as within, so without. It's the same thing, because at the same time that I'm disentangling myself from Christianity, from that, breaking away from that duality that you just mentioned, it's the same that we are going through when we decolonize, because we're colonized by Christianity, so it's more of a personal level and it's more of a cultural. So I'm breaking away from the duality and the fact that I really don't want to demonize certain practices and certain aspects of myself. I want to embrace the whole. Only in the middle doth one live. That's yet another Aztec dictum, which we have to append to. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Feathers are normally more heavenly, more ascended, and then the serpent is usually worldly wisdom, but also very lowly passions. But we're a composite of both. We cannot be delusional and be too spiritual, and we cannot be too carnal. There's always got to be that balance, and it's breaking away from the Christianity duality. It's the challenging part right now. So yeah.
I mean, I imagine, man. I mean, that's because you're breaking away from an indoctrination that has existed for so many years within somebody's, people or culture or path. So I imagine you got a lot of pushback when you decided to leave the Catholic Church or something like that. So is that what happened?
Oh yeah, and it's just such a big part of you that it takes a lot to actively, get rid of it. Because even once you think that you're out of it, there's still a lot of vestiges within you that are going to keep you appended to the same, ideologies of good and evil, of punishing yourself, of recriminating, yourself for being you, composite of the dualities that you have to embrace, not polarize. Yeah, so yeah, there's still a lot to be done, and even now, there's still a lot of ideologies that I gotta uproot. They come to me in dreams. They, what I'm saying, the shadow work, I guess.
Yeah, getting rid of brainwashing is not very easy. Like it takes time, I imagine. Luckily, I didn't have that experience of brainwashing, but there's also undercurrents of society that seem like that are colonized in ways that are not spiritual or religious, but still have that colonial feel to them. Do you feel like decolonization is not just attuning your spiritual path differently, but also your way of thinking and your societal influence?
Yeah, it's everything, even from the way you eat, the approaches you have at life, choosing, and I spoke about this with you in a different session. For me, decolonizing has also entailed eliminating certain practices, drugs and alcohol and tobacco, which are part of the colonization process, and a lot of people do not acknowledge those. When people think decolonization, the first thing they want to throw out is religion. Decolonizing one's paradigm for beauty, that, we see whiteness as the only beauty. But also a lot of practices, because, it's part of the whole ascetic approach of abstaining from certain indulgences, from a life of excess and leisure. But again, as part of the duality, you have to, still retain some of that, because it's still going to have to serve its purpose. But it's really, decolonizing entails all of the above.
That
So
makes
yeah.
Sure. So I think the last thing is, before we end this, maybe you want to describe kind of how the being, the spirit that you're talking about looks, and maybe some of its symbols.
Yeah.
Do you have things you could share about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, birds are a strong symbol for him because he represents the heavens, aspiring us being the best we can. He is typically pictured in the codices. There are very few of the remaining representations of him, and he's normally having the hummingbird headdress, you know and so hummingbird is a strong symbology. Blue skin on himself, which I've spoken to another practitioner who refers to the blue skin as awareness, as consciousness. But in reality, just like any other being of the such, it takes on whatever form, that adapts to your own. And to me, it's the sun. You know what I'm saying? The flame, the inner part, which is blue, that's also what he represents to me personally, because that's the fire within the fire.
Yeah, that makes
So element of fire. He's also, it's crazy because he is from the south, and pagan, in a lot of pagan traditions, the south element is fire. So fire, willpower, everything ties in universally, really.
yeah, it's
So you can I connect him to Apollo as well.
yeah, that makes sense because honestly, the south of any country or any continent always seems to be more fire and solar based.
Yeah.
Um, and that does go across many traditions. Would you like to, before we close off this conversation, and I call you back, would you like to give any kind of message regarding this being, or any advice, or maybe a book, or anything that you'd like to give as a last message for this introduction video to the being we're talking about?
The closing thoughts. In reality, there's no complete piece of literature that I can refer to. I think a lot of it has been very personal. A lot of it has been actually, even in that, there's a manifestation of discipline, and the fact that you have to go to different sources to piece together actively, something for yourself. So I think this being ties into a lot of solar deities, which are very masculine in nature, very get things done. And I think the transformation is from the inside out. So a lot of it is very interpersonal. So, I think it goes volumes and volumes because I've separated it into different concepts and different adaptations. Because at the same time that he is a very masculine deity, he comes from Coatlicue, which is, the earth and mother, and he defends her, and he is constantly coming to her aid, and it is very comparable to earth protectors. Those against the pipelines and whatnot. So even in consciousness awakening, there is the very aspect of Huitzilopochtli coming to the aid of the mother, which is a planet Earth. So there's that protector deity, found in this concept. So it ties into anybody else who wants to protect the Earth and Mother.
That makes sense. I love that a lot. Hey, thank you very much for joining me on the channel here. Maybe we can talk about this being and other beings pretty soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent, man. Well, all of you who are watching or listening, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you on the channel in the future. And your channel as well, my friend. Would you like to plug your channel?
Absolutely. Philip Labrado. I speak extensively about him, as you may have noticed. So to check it out, there's a source right there. Since there's no literature that I can provide, my channel is definitely a source. So check it out.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and thank you, Philip. And we'll see all of you on our channels in the future.
All right.
I think I stopped it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, hold up.